And what the ego wants to do if it's feeling challenged is it wants to teach the teacher. So what will always come up is you sharing your wisdom, sharing something you know or you've experienced or you believe, and some other person trying to teach you that you are wrong and they are right. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Rooted in the Cosmos, your podcast for all things spiritual leadership, higher consciousness, and New Earth vision. My name is Isabel Gloria. I'm your host, and I'm happy to welcome you on this beautiful day. It's the first really sunny day here in Germany, and we are tapping into the first energy of summer and spring. So I'm really excited for that one. It really lifts the mood immediately, and it feels so energetic to see everything bloom and to see the sun and feel it on your skin. So it's really beautiful. I'm going to go sit in my garden right after recording this podcast episode. If you've been following my journey for a while, or if you've been listening to this podcast from the very beginning, you know that I'm all about empowering other conscious leaders to step forward and to also share their wisdom with others and to use social media to express themselves and to share their message and share their mission here on Earth. I also mainly work with women who are feeling called to step into a leader role, maybe as a coach, as a YouTuber, as a spiritual content creator or influencer. What they all have in common, that they feel very driven by their higher calling and by their divine mission. And they're looking for ways to express that and to create a lifestyle around this mission. So they want to live a spiritual, fulfilling, aligned life that is not like the typical things that we're supposed to do here, like not the typical 9 to 5, not the typical milestones that we as humans are meant to hit for some reason. So they all want like an extraordinary life for themselves and also share a very important message and share from their heart, from their soul. What I've learned over the years of working with these powerful women and on my own journey as well is that we need to reframe the word leader. A lot of people still have a negative energy attached to the word leader, and they're afraid of calling themselves a leader because in our world, we have seen so many leaders that were not what a leader should be like and who didn't have pure intentions. And we often think of that energy when we hear the word leader, but that's not what a leader truly should be like. We need to reclaim that word for ourselves and really step up as conscious leaders, as thought leaders, as visionaries, as inspirers, as all these archetypes and all these role models that the world needs. And what really helps doing that is to first reclaim the term leader or the real meaning behind that for yourself. So in today's episode, I really want to lean into that and share 5 realizations for cultivating a leader mindset. This will help you so much to build a business, to build a following, to build a community. All the things that you may desire are connected to a leader mindset. The very first thing I want to talk about is that you need to stop caring what other people think. And I know this is way easier said than done, and I'm working through this with a lot of my clients in the very beginning of their business journey, of their social media journey. They are very, very concerned of what others will think about them, how they will be perceived, and if they will be judged, like that type of energy. And I always tell them you need to let go of that. And we also work through that and do a lot to make that happen. But it's a realization that you first need to make within. You need to stop caring what other people think because your life here on Earth is limited. You are here as this person that you are right now in this human costume and in this human incarnation. You're only here once and you have limited time on this earth. So the longer you are letting yourself be held back by others or by their possible judgment, the less time you have to make your dreams a reality, to live the life you want to live, to be fulfilled, to work towards your goals and dreams and all the things that you dream about all day. The more time you let go to waste and the more time you spend hiding from other people, the less time you will have to actually live your dream. And what a lot of people do is that they never stop dreaming, they never go into action. They dream about a certain thing or a certain lifestyle or a certain profession they want to do or something like that all their lives. And at the end of their lives, they have to look back and realize that they've never dared to stand out, that they've never dared to go for it. And this is, I feel like I've never been there in this life, obviously. But I feel like when I think of that, I feel like that must be one of the greatest pains that a human can have. Like looking back at your life and feeling like you haven't really done what you wanted to do with your life. And worst of it all, you haven't done certain things because you were scared what other people will think. I think that's a horrible thing to realize. I really want you to take that in and realize for yourself like how heavy the meaning of that is. You cannot hide just because you're scared of people's judgment, just because you're scared some people that you don't even really know will make fun of you, or that they will think what you do is crazy or is not what you should do. Like, who are they to judge? You need to take the time that you have and make the most out of it. And if we look at this from a more spiritual perspective, it goes even deeper. Before you even incarnated here as this human being that you are right now, your cosmic self had plans for this life. You had certain lessons that you picked for yourself, certain challenges, certain things that will meet you along the journey of your life and help you. And you also chose your mission and the message and the energy you came here to share, especially as a light worker. This is a crucial part in making your soul contracts. You have a divine mission. You have something to share. You want to carry on an energy in this physical life that you chose long ago, long before you even came here. And that is your divine mission and the message and the impact you have on other people. And if your human self then chooses to stay in hiding because they're so afraid of showing up and being themselves and being judged for that, it's so much more than just a human life that doesn't turn out how it could have been. It's even your soul not being able to fulfill her mission. That should weigh so much more than other people's words, opinions, or giggles. And I really want you to take that in and think about this, even after this podcast, how important it is to stop caring what others think and what drastic consequences it can have if you cannot stop caring. This whole conversation about not caring what others think leads to the next realization you need to make to cultivate a leader mindset. The next realization is that there are different levels of consciousness. Everyone is doing their best from their level of consciousness. So even if people are making fun of you, even if your family does not approve of what you do, even if they think what you do is crazy or how you lead your life is not right, you don't even have to take that personally. It could literally be the case that they are not able to understand how you want to live, to understand what you teach, what you do for work, what you talk about online. It doesn't even have to be personal. It can literally just mean that they cannot grasp what you do. Much like you cannot understand how they want to live their lives like they do, they may not be able to understand how you live your life. And because the consciousness on planet Earth, it is rising, it is like we are accessing higher consciousness more and more. But still, the baseline is a hive mind consciousness. So what that means is that a lot of people are not thinking completely for themselves. They are tapped into the collective consciousness. So all the things that everyone does is accepted, is normal, is perceived as good. And if someone else is thinking outside of the box and is a thought leader or a visionary or just does things differently without even hurting anyone, they are irritated by that. And the hive mind consciousness, the group collective consciousness, is triggered into a response, into a fight or flight response. And that happens. And that is not your fault. And that is not something that should hold you back. Because again, you cannot live your life in hiding if you have a divine mission to fulfill here. Your divine mission is even meant to trigger those who are still in a lower level of consciousness. They are meant to be irritated. They are meant to be shaken. They are meant to be triggered in a way because they react a certain way. They react with rejection and with judgment because something within them is triggered. And because their soul, just like everyone's soul, is a liberated, free cosmic being. So deep down, they know that what you do is more fulfilling and more freeing and more expressive and in alignment with evolution, how it should be, than what they're doing. But they cannot help but follow what they think is right. And I'm not trying to categorize people into different tiers. It's just a thing that we are living in a world with so many different levels of consciousness. And it's meant to be like that. Everyone is on their ascension journey. We're just at different stages. So we are literally on the same journey of soul ascension, but some people don't even want to hear about that. They would think you're crazy for telling them that, even though they are on the same journey as you are, just at a different place. The next realization that you need to make to cultivate a leader mindset is that once you allow yourself to step up as a leader, and once you've overcome all the struggles of fear of showing up, fear of judgment, all these things that are really hard to overcome as is, once you've overcome them, another awaits you, and you need to be prepared for that. When you come online on social media, let's say, and you share your wisdom, you share from your heart, you share all the things you know and believe and all your values, a lot of people will resonate with that. And you will build a community of engaged souls who are really resonating with what you have to say, who want to be in exchange with you, who want to be in your presence, who want to be in your energy, who want to work with you eventually. But there will also be the people who are very, very triggered. Their ego is triggered. And what the ego wants to do if it's feeling challenged is it wants to teach the teacher. So what will always come up is you sharing your wisdom, sharing something you know or you've experienced or you believe, and some other person trying to teach you that you are wrong and they are right. That is a thing that always happens. And what a lot of people do is to react to that and to defend themselves and to try to explain why they share this truth or why they believe a certain concept or something like that. And they try to defend themselves. But the ego will always try to teach the teacher. It's not about the topic itself. It's about, again, a mechanism that the ego is in, like a fight or flight mode, when their reality or their perception of reality is being challenged. And it also has to do with the different levels of consciousness. So it could even happen that other people who are doing something similar to you, other creators, other coaches, other people who are working in the spiritual field, that they want to teach the teacher because their ego is telling them to, and they have not reached a level where they are just accepting of different truths coexisting. You should definitely not give too much energy to this problem or this dynamic, but it's important to be prepared for it and to know why that happens. The moment you present yourself as a leader, as a teacher, as a coach, as someone who has valuable information to share, someone else will try to tell you that you are wrong and they know better. And that is completely normal. And what I've learned in my now long journey as a content creator and as like a person who has an online business, who shows up online all the time, is to just ignore that. I let them have their little conversations in my comments, and I may read through that, but I'm not reacting to that. All it does is to boost engagement and to show the piece of content that I've created to more people who will actually benefit from that. But I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to do any ego games. I don't have to be the one who also wants to teach the teacher. They can have their reality and their truth and their perception, and I'll have mine. And I'll share it to those in my community who resonate with it. It's for them. It's not for those people who have something negative to say about it. That's how I deal with it. And that's also how I, as a mentor, recommend my clients to deal with it. The next realization is a really fun one that has brought me into a lot of crazy situations. It's the why not attitude. You need to have a why not attitude. What I mean by that is you have to walk through life feeling like life is a game of endless possibilities. So even the most crazy things, even the most unrealistic things, say to yourself, why would that not work? Why not? This attitude has brought me so far in life, not just in my business, but in general. Like, I've had so many crazy experiences in my early 20s or even in my teens because I just thought, why would that not work? You should expect the unexpected and see yourself as someone who can be at any place you want. I was able to look into so many different industries, fashion industry, music industry. I'm not telling you because I want to brag or because that's important, but I just want to show you how crazy it works. Like, if you don't see yourself as someone lower than others, for example, if you look at celebrities and think they're these stars and they are so much better than you and have so many more amazing things in their lives and blah, 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 you will never be eye to eye with someone like that. And if you just see them as people, as souls, and as you being in the same category as them, crazy things start happening to you. This is just one example of many, but it is the example from my teenage years and from my early 20s because I was into modeling. I was into blogging at that time. That was back then when blogs were still a thing. From the first minute of me doing that, I was just like, why not? Why would I not be invited to this event? Why would I not sit front row in this fashion show? And almost every time it worked out. I was gaining a lot of experiences with that attitude, and I still have that attitude. And even if there are periods in life where things don't work out the way you want, you cannot lose that attitude. It's divine timing. Things are playing out for you. And why the heck would it not work? Because you are this person that always is lucky and that always happens to be involved in the most crazy experiences in the best way possible. So cultivating this why not attitude really helps you to see possibilities and to not limit yourself just because you have this black and white thinking of, I cannot do that. I cannot do this. I will never be there. I will never have that. Because why the fuck not? That also leads to the next realization. You need to expect good things to happen. That's so easy, but yet difficult. And it is especially difficult if things are happening in our lives that are out of our control. So every life, every person's life is made up of ups and downs. And we all have things happening to us that are either traumatic, very sad, very shocking, that really shake us. And in these type of situations, in these phases of lives where we are really shaken and where we are in shock or something really bad happened or something we didn't expect happens to us or to a loved one or anything like that, this is when expecting good things is really, really hard and when we easily can go down a downward spiral. And what I like to cultivate as my mindset, and I know it's not always easy and it doesn't work if you're like in a situation that is bad right now. But the moment I feel like I come out of a bad situation and I can find myself again, I remind myself, if negative things can happen so quickly and so unexpectedly and change my life or my reality in such a short amount of time, the same thing can happen with a positive thing. So if I hold the vision, if I truly believe that good things are happening and that I expect that in the end everything will be good, in the same manner, something really positively life-changing can come to me. In the same unexpectedness of the moment, it can just happen and there's a shift and life is much more amazing than it is even right now. So that really helps me to go through challenging times. That also helps me, like a personal example of that is I have a very rare heart condition. It's very rare. Not many people have it. And I always had this feeling, and I've said that since I was a child. I was like, if I can choose on a soul level such a rare heart condition to have, and I have to deal with that, why would I not have chosen on a soul level an extraordinary life? And it's like an intuitive thing, I know, but that's a good example of turning your challenging times into a positive mindset and still holding yourself the higher belief, even in times of struggle, of challenge. The next realization for cultivating a leader mindset is that you cannot please everyone. It kind of goes hand in hand with not caring what other people think, but I feel like it's important to mention it separately. Once you show up online, once you show up as a conscious leader, as someone who has a voice, who has a message, some people will resonate with that and some people will not resonate with that. And that is completely fine. And the moment you have an opinion or a strong voice or a strong mindset, a belief, there will be people who are not resonating with that belief, not resonating with that voice, not resonating with your confidence in sharing a certain thing. And that is also completely fine. So similarly to how you would deal with someone who wants to teach the teacher, try to not give that too much energy. If you say polarizing things, or if your content is kind of polarizing and it stirs up different opinions, that's not a bad thing. That actually benefits you and your business and your community. Because the people who are on your side, in quotation marks, they are really connected to you. That makes your community closer. That makes your community have a stronger bond with you. If there's polarizing opinions and they're with you in that, they agree to what you have to say. They agree to your belief. They agree to your message, while others don't. So in the end, it's just beneficial for your business. And there's even tons and tons and tons of strategies out there in the marketing world to purposefully create polarizing content. So that is not a bad thing. You always have to remind yourself of that. If it just naturally happens that you are polarizing, or that your opinion or your beliefs or your message polarizes, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It benefits your business, it makes your community stronger, and it creates very loyal and engaged followers on social media. The final and probably most important realization for cultivating a leader mindset is that you can't wait for someone else to do it. Whatever you want to do with your business, with your career, with your life, you need to be the one to initiate it. There is no one who's going to come to you and say, "Hey, I'm going to help you do this. Let's switch your life upside down. Let's change everything. Let's start this business. Let's try out if that works out." You always have to be the one initiating. You are in charge. Successful conscious leadership, a successful conscious business, is dependent on how well you lead yourself. Nobody else is going to come and do it for you. Nobody else is going to hold your hand and walk you through the path that will lead to your happiness. You have to be the one to do it. I immediately have to think of some of my clients, some specific ones, but I'm not going to mention their names, who were so afraid to show up in the beginning. They were they had this calling and this knowing that they are meant to do something in the spiritual field and that they want to be present on social media and show up, but they were so scared. And it was so hard for them to go these initial steps of just publicly sharing content. That was the first hurdle, which is completely fine and normal in the beginning. But when I look back and see them now with their offers and talking to a camera freely without their voice shaking, it's completely normal for them today. And they have made the transition from being shy and awkward and afraid of showing up to showing up as like these leaders, these powerful women who have content to share, who have offers to sell, who have retreats to host. Like, oh, if I think of that, it's so activating, and it's exactly why I do this work. It's a super important realization to have, that you are the one leading your own business, leading your own life, and eventually leading to your own happiness and fulfillment. In my personal life, I started out very early. I started out very young. I always had this calling, but it took me years to realize what I was meant to do. And all the experiences that I made along that journey help me now to be in this leadership role and to help others with exactly what I'm doing today. So, a little wrap up. I started my career in marketing as a media designer. So, originally, I studied media design and I'm a media designer. And I've worked in marketing for several years. But it never felt right to work for a business that is not mine. So, the first logical step that I took was to work as a freelancer. So, I was still a media designer, I was designing for others, but I was my own boss. And I also added in creative projects and creating tattoo sketches for other people and stuff like that. But anyway, I was working as a media designer on my own. That was the first logical step. And then it started to feel not fulfilling, because even though the work is theoretically creative, you cannot really express yourself as a media designer. You have to follow the client's wishes, and often they have a very different vision than you have. So I never truly felt like I was in charge and I was bringing my own creative ideas and my own genius into existence. So I realized that this is not it. I don't want to work as a media designer. And then it happened that it was more or less by coincidence, but it happened that I got into modeling. I was modeling for alternative fashion, so it was gothic fashion. And what I did for a couple of years was vintage fashion and pinup modeling. And I did that as an art project with one of my best friends. And we were very successful in the first year. We had 8 print publications in the first year. We were invited to several fashion shows, walking the catwalk, doing photo shoots, shooting campaigns for very known brands. And that was a cool time and it was really fun. And that was also the time where I really cultivated my why not attitude and had so many amazing experiences. But after a while, I also realized that is not all that I want to do. I have so much more value to share than just being pretty. I don't just want to be pretty and have nothing to say. Because in my personal life at that time, I was going through the most immense spiritual awakening that you could think of. Like, it was a time where cosmic wisdom was just coming in like crazy. And I had like not one day was like the other, because I had so many realizations and so many experiences, so many astral travels, and so much stuff going on. I was no longer identifying with the picture of that model that I was portraying to the external world. I was doing all that also online just to give full context. So I've always been present on social media and I've always done my own thing, but I was no longer identifying with that model that I was to the outside world. So I needed to change things and I followed that calling again. And every time I changed things, it was scary. I felt like I was going into a new direction and I had no idea what was coming next or if it's going to work out. The worst thing was that it was very successful at that time. We were at peak success when I decided, or we both decided, that's no longer what we are meant to do here on this earth. We need something with more value, with more substance, with more of a voice that stands behind that. So we canceled this art project, we canceled modeling, and I was kind of lost and I didn't know what to do. And then the thought of sharing spiritual content came up for the first time. It was so obvious all these years, but I needed the time to really realize that this was my path and that this was what I was actually meant to do. So I started sharing spiritual content in 2018 for the first time ever, and my following started to grow rapidly. I gained a lot of followers, I grew a community. I, for the first time ever, had feedback that actually fed my soul, like the conversations I had with other people and within my community and the feedback I got. It was like this whole new world that had opened up. And then I was like, how do I sustain myself while living exactly this lifestyle? How do I turn this into my business? And almost immediately after I put that out into the universe, this question of how am I going to sustain myself and how am I going to make a living out of this? The first opportunity that eventually led to coaching came up for me, and I discovered Kangen water. I'm sure some of you know about this and some of you know about like this amazing water. It's basically ionized water that is really healthy and has a lot of health benefits. And I wanted to have a machine for myself anyway. And I realized that there is a business model attached to that. So I wanted a machine anyway for myself, just for health reasons, for the reasons of having good water and having energized living water. And then I realized, okay, there's a whole ass business behind that. And I started doing that. And that was when I, for the first time ever, made like a huge amount of money in 1 year of being self-employed. And that was a mindset shift for me. I was like, whoa, I can do that. If I'm in alignment with the things I do, if I feel like I'm sharing what really makes my soul glow, I'm being rewarded for that because that is what I'm meant to do here. So working as a Kangen water distributor was something I did for, I think, 2 years. And along that way, I learned a lot about mindset, money mindset, leader mindset. So I had this first experience of, wow, there are so many people out there who want the same thing that I do and who are just living the life that I've always wanted to live. They are expressing themselves freely. They have their spiritual businesses, they have their clients, they help other people, they work with other women, with other souls. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what I was wanting to do the whole time, but I didn't have a word for it. So that's how I realized I want to be a coach, a mentor, someone who shares spiritual knowledge with others. And through this business with Kangen, I also met a lot of other coaches and I saw it firsthand that it was working out for them. And then I put into the universe, please show me my next step. Even though I still felt very in alignment with Kangen water, which I still do, and I was really happy in that business, I was ready for more. I was ready for the spiritual work and like all these things that I'm doing now. And I put that out into the universe. I was like, universe, show me my next teacher. I was actively saying, okay, I need a teacher to help me grow my business and to help me figure out what it is that I'm meant to do. And I kid you not, a couple of days later, seemingly out of nowhere, out of context, I stumbled across my now mentors on Instagram. And I'm still working with them to this day, which is amazing. And I love having them in my life. I'm so grateful for them. And they were the ones that really helped me to fully claim this coaching career for myself and helped me with the initial steps and all that. It was amazing, an amazing transformative time. And all of that just happened. Like there was a lot of stuff coming after that. I was realigning my business. I was still taking a while until I really was where I wanted to be. But long story short, All of this happened because I was taking action steps. I was the one who initiated things. I was the one who made investments. I made a lot of investments during that time, and they were all worth it. And that is what I mean. You cannot wait for someone to tell you what to do. You need to find out. You need to figure out what it is. You need to ask for help. You need to ask for support. You need to hire a mentor, whatever it is that you feel is the right thing to do. And the next step for you, that's what you have to do. And it always feels scary. My story sounds super easy and super flowy, but there were a lot of moments where I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So much money invested. And how am I going to turn this around and make this successful? How am I ever going to feel aligned with the business I do? Like, it was not an easy path, but I knew that if I stop searching, I will never find it. And I'm so glad I didn't stop. I'm so glad I'm sitting here today recording this podcast for you, working with my clients, seeing them succeed, using all the wisdom, all the knowledge I've collected in these different jobs over the years to help them now and to support them now in a very powerful way. And that shall be my final words for this episode. These were the 5 realizations for cultivating a leader mindset. I really hope you take them to heart, and I really hope you benefited from listening to this episode. If you want to reach out to me, you can always send me a DM on Instagram or on TikTok. It's at Isabel Gloria. If you want to send in any questions or requests for episodes or questions for podcast episodes with a Q&A, you can send an email to podcast@isabelgloria.com. It's all linked in the show notes. Have a wonderful day. I'm going outside into my garden now, listening to the birds, drinking matcha, and I will talk to you next week.